Well, hello everyone. It is Friday, May the 3rd, 2024. I am Delbridge, Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This is your weekly status chat. It's a video blog where we discuss real estate things, but lately we've been talking about the economy because the economy is what's driving the real estate market and the ability to buy and the decision to sell. So we'll get into something that's going to continue on with that idea for just a short period of time. Then I'm going to go talk about something that you may have heard people say in the past. Are you ready? All right. So where we're sitting right now is we're looking at the economy. We've talked about how they keep saying it's great, it's great, it's great, it's getting better, jobs are good. The interest rate, December of last year, Fed indicated that they were looking forward to eventually stopping the rate hikes in Q3 of 2024, which we're not far from. But they started that, and they said we have at least three if everything stays the same. And so many people heard something that was not said. They heard what they wanted to hear, and quickly there's a chance we might even get the first cut in January. And to me, at the time, I raised my hand and said, that is not what they said. And they said, go away, Captain Negativity, because we're looking at experts say. Really? Experts say? So that's just wishful thinking. You know, I wish I was 40 pounds lighter and 3 inches taller, but, wish in one hand whatever in the other, see which one fills up first. And it moved from 3 to, it's more than 3, so we're going to get 5. And then some people were even saying, as many as 7. Makes good clickbait, get people to watch. But it just never was going to happen. And then the other part they never talked about was if things continued, and now it has to do with inflation. Now, I think we may be heading to something worse than what we had, which is why I've been yapping for the last 5 months in particular. You need to get ready to buy or sell your house now because there's really no indication that it's going to get any better. But the Fed said at least 3. Well, they're backing off of that. That's been old news at this point. And they kept saying, well, we're going to watch the job. What's going to bring that down is if we start really tanking the economy. And last quarter's worth of GDP says that we went down in growth. So we're still positive, but we're still above the line. And I think if we were to tank below a line and they don't fiddle the numbers and bring it back up, vice versa, or if they get below the line, they don't fiddle the next month or next quarters up, which they've done that in the past to keep a, quote, recession from happening between now and certainly in the election. If you like this content, please go to CallDelToSell.com, find the tab that says on YouTube, click it, and it'll open up a page of QR codes. There you can use a smartphone to scan and get to the YouTube page, or you can just mouse over and click it on a PC. There you'll be able to subscribe to this little button over here and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when each Friday's blog has been uploaded. Thank you. Recession from happening between now and certainly in the election. It will take 2 substantial and sequential drops in the GDP over a period of time because it has to drop far enough that they can't fiddle the numbers and get them back up to make that recession null and void. And you also know that they've hung their hat on the concept of has to be more than the 2-quarter definition that it has historically been. It's got to be on jobs. It's got to be on something else. It's never been that way before, and I think that's just blarney to keep you excited and spending your money, but I think people are getting spent out. Now, we can go into another show at another time and look at charge-offs, see how they're popping up, and we can look at some of the other data. But today I just want to look at one simple thing, and it's going to be this hires, non-farm hires. Look where we are, okay? We were here, and then the COVID scam hit. We shut everything down, and then we dumped a bunch of money that would cause our inflation, and it started to come down. And where are we now? You see this trend, do you not? You see that trend. What is it going up or is it going down? These are hires, not job postings. Job postings don't mean a whole heck of a lot if they're phantom jobs. The only time a job posting matters is if they're going to actually fill that job. Did they want to fill the job? No. We've seen a lot of what we call phantom jobs, jobs that are hung out there just to tell the person's being overworked and doing that extra, trying to hold on to his job that, I know you're overworked, as boss man, I know you're overworked, but we're trying to get you some help. And then they post a job, and the guy that's being overworked can see the job is being posted. Yeah, they're doing something. And they're really not. A lot of times, I think it was something like a third, don't quote me on that, something like a third of hiring managers fully admitted in a survey that they post jobs that they have zero intention to fill. And part of it is to create a little bit more uneasiness for the one that's working, feeling like, well, what if the new guy comes in and they're better at this stuff than I am? They might keep him and get rid of me. But some also people will think, well, I'm finally going to get some help because they're happy with me and they're telling me, hold on. But they're just kind of stretching out that hyper productivity from overworked people for a longer period of time. So when we look at this, we see what are the actual hires been since the start of this year, right? This is February. January was down a little bit. We just crossed the line. It's been down. And right now we're at 5,500 for March, right? So we haven't gotten April's numbers yet on the FRED at the Fed, or the economic research at the Federal Reserve. So if we go 55, let's see when the last time we hit 55. Was it either of these times 55, even though they're above 55? That would be in 2021. Let's come over here. This looks low. That is 19.56. That's still above. What about this next one? 5.6. 5.6. Where are we going to find a dip that it's at 5,500 or below? Right there, that still is 5.6. So let's go this over here. Come on, 5.6, 5.5, 5.4. So we have to go all the way back to, are you ready? That 5.421 is actually in the last of 2018. So we're having as fewer hires as in December of 18. So we're slowing down on the hires, but we're not yet losing the people. And we looked at other shows where are they doing the hiring? Government, healthcare. Those are your big ones. Government and healthcare, which means what? Government's going to mean more inflation because government doesn't create money. They print money out of thin air, but they don't create wealth. They just take it from people. And if they're putting more money into government, where's it going to come from? It's going to come from either a current asset or they're going to print more money. So that doesn't look real good. Would you agree? Are you ready for the next segment? The idea I want to kind of float out there. I hear some people say, well, we're waiting on a crash. Well, the problem with waiting on a crash is as long as inflation is out of control, it's unlikely you're going to see a crash for the direct purpose that helps keep the price of the home values up. So the other issue is, well, what's going to then bring us the crash that some people want? It's going to take a major financial crisis. We've already seen a bank fail here just recently, one more bank fail, first one of this year. I expect probably one or two more. But we've got to upset the apple cart. We've got to start losing some jobs, and we've got to start having people that can't pay their mortgage and lose the house. And not just not pay the mortgage and lose their house. They've got to be in such bad condition, along with a slew of other people, a spate of other people have to heat that same thing to get the supply up. Okay? You've got to get your supply up so that you have more supply for those who are going to demand it. Now, if we can get the supply up and we don't drop the rates, that may hold. But what's going to happen likely is if they start dropping the rates because people are losing jobs, that's going to make the mortgage rates come down and lots of homes are going to get snapped up real quick. We might have a hot peak come back up, and that's still going to leave the unprepared out. So one of the things that has come up recently is, well, we'll just wait for all these evil baby boomers to die off and leave us our house. Well, quite honestly, I don't plan on dying tomorrow. Might not make this video getting posted, but I'm not planning on dying. And what's happened to a lot of people is they think, well, we'll wait because boomers was a big generation, just about as big as millennials. Why millennials aren't bigger, I don't know. I have to go look at how the years are calculated, numbers of years. Maybe the boomers is much, much bigger than the millennials. Don't really know. Haven't really cared enough to look. But a lot of people are thinking, well, we're going to wait until the boomers have to sell, and then we're going to catch them on a downsize, which is okay if it's all voluntary. But there's two things you need to think about. One is if the family deterioration that so many people complain about, if it's real, if they have somebody who is helping their elder parent into their remaining years, if they're helping them with that, it may be that child inherits the house. Maybe it's still willed to a lot of them and that doesn't work out. But maybe they get that house gifted to them, in which case it never comes on the market. We also have the problem of assets on the death tax because right now, in most states and the federal, it's $250,000 per person. So if you have an older person, a boomer, that has got massive amounts of equity in it, when they die, they won't pay the wealth tax, but it can reset that basis. So what some wealth planners will tell you, some retirement planners will say, especially in Tennessee, where TennCare, if you happen to go on TennCare because you don't have cash, one of the things they'll do is they'll look at your asset, collecting that asset after the end of the road, so that they're saving that money, that bill that was spent on the elder parent in care, whatever it is, and that comes out of his estate first. They get first dibs. And so some people will start moving that asset either down, if they still have some good health left. What they might do is reverse mortgage, in which case they're drawing that equity out for their own fun and happiness. Maybe they sacrifice their entire lives taking care of other people. There's nobody around taking care of them. I'll just reverse mortgage this baby off, and I'll increase my income, and I'll live my good life. I'll have my best life or whatever, and they'll go in that. So they might not be there. That doesn't mean that house doesn't get taken up. But with a reverse mortgage, it's then up to the person who has reverse mortgage that entity to then want to sell it. They may trade it off on a different type of asset balance. On the balance sheet, they may do something different. The other thing is, where are these boomers going to give their houses up? Well, if it's above the Sun Belt, if it's in the cold Midwest and all that kind of stuff, where we don't really have the big demand, buyers might have some bit of a shot at picking up some of those houses. So it kind of can be real in certain areas. But you can already go to Detroit and Chicago and a lot of these old established blue cities with extremely high tax rates and buy you a bit of a, let's call them to be polite, a fixer-upper. You can probably get you a fixer-upper. But if you're in that part of your life cycle where maybe you've gotten married or you have a partner or you have children and you want to, are these the areas that would have cheap, affordable houses and fixer-uppers? Are they the place you want to go? Hello, I'm Delbridge of Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you are currently unrepresented and would like to know how to compare up to 3 properties side by side and room by room, then go over to my new YouTube channel, CallDelToSell. That's 1 L and Del, no spaces. Watch the demo on Real Scout and then call me and we'll set up your exclusive ad-free account today. Cheap, affordable houses and fixer-uppers, are they the place you want to go? Well, if we look at the migratory data, they tend to be coming to the southeast. People are leaving there and coming to the southeast, which is great for buying a house in the north. It's not so great for buying a house in the south and southeast. So do you think that little bit of knowledge is going to escape any one of the industries, the funds that buy real estate? Do you think they're just going to let all of those baby boomer houses go to you? Or do you think they're going to buy all they can possibly afford to buy, wherever they can possibly afford to buy? And so the rates of that real estate investment trust is probably going to go up, and they're going to go up in the areas probably where a lot of these boomers are. And where do boomers live a lot? A lot of the boomers have moved south because of cold weather, whatever, and they're in places like Florida or whatever. So you may have a higher number of boomers in those areas. And the market's just not going to let them sit down there. They're not waiting around. There's not a real estate investment trust that I know of that's going to send you a text and say, hey, Susan, before I buy this house, are you interested in getting it? Because if you don't want it, if you're going to pass, I'll take it. That's not how it works. So there is this general, it's like having 7 rate cuts this year. It's a lofty thought, but it just ain't real. So when people think, well, the boomers are they're going to die off, and we're just going to snap in there and buy up all their properties. No, the solution relies into building more houses and control of the population. If we have a fixed rate growth on how many houses we build, the more people that we have, if the population doesn't keep a proper pace to that building, if something happens, somebody does something, and millions of people start coming in, they're going to have a place to live, and they're going to compete for the same housing, especially if they come from a poor country into the United States. They're going to compete with the current people trying to find their starter home. And so it's just supply and demand. At this rate, we don't have enough baby boomers passing away, giving up a house, than we do the need for housing. That's out of whack. We have too much population growth for the amount of people that are going to turn over those existing homes. And a lot of those existing homes are going to go to a family member, and they'll never hit the market. Now, I know what you're saying. Baby boomers are the largest multi-house group that's out there, and that's true. But those people are typically have means and wealth, and generally, if your family had means and wealth, the offspring are going to have means and wealth, and no brokies or dusties are going to be able to pick that up, because it's just going to go from this class of rich, this age group of rich to this other age group of rich, and they're just not going to come on the market. That's a real possibility. Will it happen? I don't know. What do you say we get to this week's numbers? All right, where's my pad? My pad is right here. Last week we had 426.24. The last of April we had 19,559 opportunities. That spiked a little bit up. And then we had 46.57 in the under contract still showing. That went up just a tad. And yet for multi-weeks in a row, we've been stuck at a ratio of 24%. This week, 5.324. What do we have? We have 19,558. That's down. Only by one, but it is down. That's in the opportunities. That's what's going to be available either right now or coming soon. And we have 45.25. Now that's a drop. That is in the under contract still showing, and 23 is the integer ratio, which also dropped. So we're seeing a little bit dropping off this week for some reason, and we really are in the green sales season. We're in the green season, not just because it's green outside, but this is when we typically start to sell. And we know that April, we expect a little bit of a peak opportunity for buyers in April, but we really shouldn't see a lot of change. Now let's hold on to these numbers, and next week let's see if we reverse one of those three numbers, maybe all three of them. So we appreciate you watching. Remember, always comment, like, subscribe to these things, get the algorithm working. Comments make a big difference too. I don't know what percentage of the showing the information is related to comments, but it's a big thing. The interaction, it shows that you have an audience and somebody's listening, and enough of those people that are listening will actually take time to type you a thumbs up, or you don't know what the heck you're talking about, Mr. Black Shirt Man, whatever, but it makes a difference. So we appreciate you watching. We want to help you find a house. It's just, if you feel like your opportunities are being squeezed out from under you, there may be some reality to it. So what we have to do is catch that before that train completely leaves the station. Do you agree? If you do, make a comment. We'll see you there. Appreciate you.